Let's jump right into our headline topic, which is, of course, that Tesla's self-driving, well, I think self-driving is generous, but then again, calling it full self-driving is also generous. So let's just call it Tesla's driving assists, shall we? According to Business Insider, sources inside Tesla have claimed that the company's self-driving training puts more weight on training data from influencers and YouTubers, with Tesla and also CEO Elon Musk. So that one is actually...
That would make sense to me.
Well, no, I want to unpack that one a little bit more later. First, I want to talk about the influencers. Current and former employees say they were instructed to put additional resources into routes that were frequently driven by these VIPs. For example, having employees who review and annotate footage for training, having them spend more time on footage from these drivers. Wow.
Ugh.
If effective, this strategy means that Tesla's full self-driving would be significantly smoother and more accurate on these routes than it would be on a typical road. It is therefore likely to conclude that the company wanted high-profile drivers with large audiences to have a better experience without even knowing that their experience was not representative of what the average user would see.
Which is super bad. This type of activity is something that you have to try to look out for as a reviewer. The first way that I was introduced to it was people talking about golden samples.
Yeah.
Where companies will send you a known perfect version of their product instead of just picking one off the line. And that can be a problem, especially when you're talking about performance products.
Yes.
Because we would talk about golden sample CPUs.
Yeah.
Where a brand would send you a CPU that is the best possible binning.
Which we've tested multiple times and never found evidence of in terms of our CPU sampling. But what I've heard is that it was potentially a practice in the earlier days of tech media,
yes.
Especially when overclocking was a far more important aspect of reviewing a potential chip.
At one time, that was the main. That was the main thing I would read on articles when I was a kid looking for parts.
But can you overclock the snot out of it?
Yeah.
Now, my question is, because obviously there's the things about this that are just generally skeezy, right? You shouldn't want to misrepresent your product because it's going to lead to bad experiences for your customers. I mean, we discussed this in detail when we did our video earlier this week on AMD's extremely misleading naming scheme for their Ryzen mobile processors. It should be in your best interest as a company to accurately represent your products so that you create brand loyalty and people come back to you time and time again. So I'm not going to get too deep into that right now, but what I want to talk about is or should this be illegal? Because technically, I don't think that Tesla is violating any law. Nobody says that they have to manually annotate the footage from every user equally. They could have any number of reasons for focusing on a particular area. Oh, we're doing a big focus on hilly terrain, or we're doing a big push on unusual signage.
Or we found that this user is in the bottom 1% for successful self-driving.
Sure.
So the area that they're driving in must be highly complicated. Let's try to train on that data and figure out what's going on.
So they could offer up any explanation for this that would be at least plausible enough that it would be difficult to nail down beyond reasonable doubt that they did this simply to juice the perception of full self-driving and bilk people into spending thousands of dollars for a feature that is not going to perform the way that they might expect it to. Now, there have been situations where it's not really bilking. I think when Tesla offered a preview of full self-driving, I believe they offered a month. Was it 2 months? They offered a preview of full self-driving, and many people tried it out and were happy with it and kept it, but many tried it out and kind of went, this is not what I expected, and did not move forward with the purchase. But there have been times when I don't believe there was a meaningful way to get a refund if you bought it. And correct me if I'm wrong, have they always offered the option to return within 30 days?
I have no clue.
I would love to hear from you guys. No, not always. Yeah, I didn't think so. I was pretty sure there were times when they were basically asking you to buy it sight unseen, especially in the earlier days when the betas weren't even functional from a fully self-driving perspective. So at what point do we look at this whole thing, and does this become one of the great scams of the 21st century?
Yeah, I mean, it's rough.
Because it's been going on for half a decade now. There are still people who will attack me for talking about how this has been a failed promise, how it was so obvious from the start that
weren't they the ones that announced that it doesn't work on hardware 3 or whatever?
Yeah. But people are still so mad. What is up with your Elon hate boner or whatever else?
It's not Elon specific.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you with his dick in your mouth. My job is just to cover the tech. I don't care. And any company that lies so consistently about something so expensive, I mean, look at it from this perspective. If you bought one of the first hardware 3.0 cars, where they said anything running hardware 3.0 will be full self-driving, you could be done with that car by now. And you never got it.
So someone in the chat said, hold the influencer accountable. That doesn't work if the influencer doesn't know.
How could they know?
This is that's the thing. Policy.
We go out of our way sometimes, like Secret Shopper, for example, is a situation where we are doing everything in our power to best replicate the average user's experience. It's extremely time consuming. It is extremely expensive. We have to bring in essentially actors to play the role of the customer, right? Because I can't just call up Starforge or call up Main Gear and place a purchase when I literally know or have interacted with the ownership of these companies, right? It doesn't work that way, right? So secret shopping, going incognito, can be extremely challenging. And it's not even really applicable to a situation like this, where the only reason they own the car, it's not like anybody gave them the car. The only reason they own the car is because they're a customer. And so as a customer, they are fully entitled to experience it day to day. That's another thing. This is something that you can't really review in a week.
It's tough.
Right? So I can't just hire someone to be a Tesla full self-driving tester, and then I guess conceivably I could, but I would have to hire them to just drive the car around
or not
all over the place,
sit in car
all the time for some extended period of time incognito, and then funnel that data back to me with no tie between the car and myself. And I'm looking at it going this is, you got to understand what you're asking sort of these average sort of car channel or technology channel people to do. It's not
even if it's
reasonable.
Not average, even if you're a really big time car channel and have the funds to do that, is that what you really want to spend your funds doing? Is dodging their training things so they can't tell that it's you? The heck? No.
Yeah, there's no way that they could possibly be responsible for it. There are due diligence things that we as, influencers or media or journalists, the people who cover this stuff and from their various angles, right? There are things that we can do to anonymize ourselves. But in this case, they had no reason to even, this is some tinfoil hat level shit here. They're going through and fine tuning the roads that full self-driving works on to be better where I drive. What kind of narcissistic asshole would you have to be to even think of that? To even think that the companies that makes the products you buy are going to fine-tune the experience just for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure somebody thought of it, but clearly it's real. But this blew my mind.
You could I could see ways, if depending on the compute in the car, that you could have it training actively specifically for you in your area.
Yeah, but
adding
that
to the
isn't
training.
what they do because they train
have
the model
overfitting issues, but-
offsite and
No, I know. I'm just
Yeah. Now, the next thing that I want to unpack is the fact that it is specifically tuned for the routes
I don't.
that Mr. Musk drives. Now, hold
This
on.
I don't know if this is a problem. Personally,
Okay.
I can give my take and reason why.
I'm gonna take your take
Sure.
and then I'm going to obliterate it.
Yeah. So the there's probably something negative along with this, but the first way that I read that was more based around Elon being very open and giving with the data of him driving. So he's like, whatever, train on this as much as you want. Not necessarily, I want all my routes to be perfect.
Here's my 2 reasons it's terrible. Actually, they're really one reason that it's... no, there are 2 reasons. There are 2 reasons that it's terrible. No, it's one reason. The reason...
Okay, hold on. Because think about if we did something, you would want it tested on you. All the products in LTC Store are made like for you.
Okay, but here's the problem. If you handed me a golden sample that was different from the one you give the customers,
Okay.
I would be f***ing livid.
All right, yeah, fair enough. Yep.
Because you're making a fool out of me. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to sell them on the features and performance and quality, and then they're going to get something that is not what I promised. Essentially, whether you misrepresented it to cover your own hide, or whether I am, I don't know, misguided enough
You should almost have like
to demand
the least trained on data.
I should be the most anonymized user,
Yeah.
so I am getting the most real experience. Now, I can understand from Tesla's perspective why they don't want his car, especially to just swerve into a telephone pole.
But if other people are going to drive in it, you should be confident enough that you're willing to do that. In my
Exactly.
opinion. Yeah. No, I'm on board now. All right.
Yeah.
Good enough.
But it was a good effort.
I tried. It's the same reason why I like having customer support close to developers.
Yeah.
Is because you need to hear and understand the daily problems of the users, because you're not going to be able to solve every single thing that comes up.
Exactly. But you shouldn't be shielded from them.
Yeah.
That is the biggest problem that I have encountered time and time again with management level people, especially in larger organizations, is the more removed they are from the day-to-day operations, the more they just don't have any chance of understanding the customer.
Yeah.
And the more misguided their product development gets. Even in an organization our size, I feel it sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'm sitting there going, oh, really? And this is coming from someone who is reading your chat right now. This is coming from someone who reads comments, who also reads the daily summary, getting an outside perspective from our community coordinator, Steven, on what you guys are saying.
It feels so official to hear you call him Steven.
Chewy. I still have blind spots. And it's just inherent to getting larger. Like I'll find out about okay, here, where's that thing? Dan, can I please have the thing? The thing you showed me before the show. The terrifying thing.
Oh, okay.
I would like it.
Oh my God.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Actually? Okay.
I just about crapped myself when I saw this.
It's not done.
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter.
There's actually a lot more that's going to be added.
Okay. This is the process flow
There we go.
for the creation and publication of an LTT video.
What is it missing, Dan? It's missing.
It's missing the pre-production step. So that red box in the center there is the entire pre-production steps when the video is planned, when it's going to be shot, where it's going to be shot, what do they need, when is the shooter assigned.
Good flipping gravy, men.
So remember when in the pre-show I pointed out how much live stream on Flowplane costs?
Yeah.
One of the questions I had the first time I saw that was, how much does that cost?
A lot, I bet.
How much does every one of those jumps take time? How much time is just in jumping that many
Every
times?
time somebody orders something, logistics has to do work. Every time somebody uses something in inventory, logistics has to do work. It's
I mean, people keep asking.
the knock-on effects.
Linus has like 100 people. How do they not have like a video immediately about everything? It's like, what percentage of them do you think work in writing? Support staff is incredibly important and so valuable and invisible to you guys in the end product. I mean, look, do yourself a favor, okay? Next time you go to a movie in the theater, first of all, give yourself a gold star for keeping that dying industry afloat. And then second of all, don't walk out when the end credits start. Watch the whole list scroll by.
It's
Obviously, we don't operate on a Hollywood level, either in terms of our budgets or...
We're not filling coliseums with water.
Or our production complications. But it should give you some idea that it's not as simple as, Linus and two of his broskies on set fooling around with computers. There's so many touch points.
There's that many days.
There's that many touch points.
And we're not producing one at a time.
Yeah.
There's like 20 or 30.
So that chain is parallelized
30 times.
Nuts.
It is insane. It touches every single department in the company, including CW.
How we started doing that was we were looking at our...
That's just this week that I've done that.
Yeah. And that wasn't even the original task, but now it's like the clearly more important one. The original task was, okay, we have Teams, we have Slack, we have G Suite, we have Outlook, we have... people text each other, people Discord each other, people call each other on Teams, people call each other on Meet, people like...
Oh yeah, there's a bunch
Karen
of...
usually calls me on WhatsApp.
I gotta add that to the list.
Yeah, we gotta add that. So we're trying to figure out, what are all the communication methods at the company, and what do people even use them
Anything highly
for?
confidential, I almost always message Yvonne somewhere else. Just so you know.
As long as the somewhere else is good, then that's fine.
It's good. It's end-to-end encrypted.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
And I don't need that, and we don't need that.
I'm just saying. I'm adding it to your list. Is that if something is like of the...
That is how it should work.
Yeah.
If you wanted recommendations, our team.
No,
can give
I'm
you
good.
some,
I'm just saying it wasn't in your list, so I'm just helping.
Yeah, but we were trying to map. Yeah, what communication software do we use? How does it get used? When does it get used?
Jamie leaves Post-it notes for me.
Dear God, really?
I'm going to cry.
Well, did you see how many times the mirror in my office fell down? So he leaves Post-it notes for me every time it falls down saying, it's definitely fixed this time. And also other Post-it notes.
I mean, that's just fun. That's fine. Keep doing that. But yeah, and then this like spider web started forming, and
yeah, I mean, this has been something that I've wanted to look at for a long time.
Yeah,
and it's really interesting seeing where the potential communication breakdowns are. Because, for example, the entire editing stage is done through Teams DMs between the editor and the writer. And so if the writer is working on 4 or 5 videos simultaneously, then he's managing 4 or 5 different individual Teams DMs with 4 or 5 different editors that are in multi-stage production, right?
Things get wacky. And like some of this stuff is going to have to keep happening.
Oh, yeah.
But we need to be aware of that so that if we pick a new communication suite, it needs to be able to handle these use cases that we already have.
Something that I'm trying to find
so we don't break the whole company because we tried to migrate us to a different chat client.
Yeah, entry and exit points for communication.
Yes.
You want to buy a thing, who is notified, when are you re-notified when that next step has happened, right?
It's crazy.